Okay, or color. Okay, color in average color. Okay, area and then diameter. Probably three things I have given. Okay, for red blood cell. Similarly for white blood cell. Then what should happen given these inputs? Okay, if the weights are random initially, then what will happen? White blood cell may be said as red blood cell. Okay, let white blood cells be class 1, red blood cells be class 2. Okay, so then white blood cells may be said as red blood cells and red blood cells, some of them may be said as white blood cells. Okay, so then the network is not length or neuron is not length. So what should I do now? There is some error here. Okay, among 1000 samples I have, assume that 800 samples are misclassified. Then what I do? At each misclassified sample I will calculate as error. So 800 itself becomes an error. Assume that I will use that error value, and then what do I want to do that with that error value? I want to adjust these weights. How do I want to adjust? I want to adjust these weights such that the error is minimum. Okay, if I consider error as misclassified samples, okay, J is the error, assume that. If I sketch the error, assume that there is a minimum point for error where there are only no misclassifications, all are correctly classified, zero error. Okay, if I move this side or this side, okay, some of this class will be misclassified, some of other class will be misclassified. So I will have, assume that I will have a higher. This is the J, and now I want to get correct W. Initially I started with some W here. Okay, then what I do? I want to adjust W such that I move to the minimum. So what is the method to move to minimize such kind of cost functions? Gradient descent. It is known as gradient descent. What do I do here? Wherever I am, I take the gradient. Okay, so gradient means what? Gradient is dou Z by dou W. That is the differentiation of that J. J is what? J essentially is, see here, J is what? J essentially is Yi minus Ti whole square. Yi are the targets, Ti are the targets, Yi are the outputs. Output minus target value whole square is the error. That sum of across all samples is essentially the error. That I want to minimize. See, Y is function of W's. Okay, so I want to adjust this weight such that the J is minimized by adjusting W's. Okay, so essentially I find the gradient or the differentiation here, dou Z by dou W. That differentiation essentially gives the direction of the tangent. Okay, and then I will move in the opposite direction to the gradient. If it is negative, I move in positive direction. If it is positive, I move in negative direction. Okay, this is referred to as gradient descent. Moving in the direction opposite to the gradient. Okay, gradient descent. Okay, based on gradient, I move opposite to the direction of gradient, so I will get to the minimum. This is the key learning mechanism in all neural networks, convolution neural networks, everything. Okay, so if you want to understand and apply any of these neural network based models, you should be quite familiar with gradient descent, okay, and gradient ascent and few variants of it. Okay, Adam optimizer, those who are familiar, and this also uses gradient descent with some fine tunings and so on. But what is the limitation of a neuron? See, if in neuron what I am learning only linear decision boundary, in the sense that on one side of the line I am saying all class 1, other side class 2. But if there are some samples such that these two belongs to one class, these two belongs to other class, I can't put a single neuron and learn. In that case I need a network of neurons. Okay, so then proper combination can be used to learn the decision boundary that is non-linear. Okay, so non-linear in sense that with single linear boundary you can't. Okay, so of course it can also be sometimes completely non-linear. Such can be learned by using a network of neurons. So this is usually put in a feed-forward neural network fashion. What is feed-forward neural network? The neurons are, okay, previous layer. If you have this is input. Okay, all inputs are connected to this neuron. Okay. Again, another neuron in this layer also takes all these inputs, another neuron also takes all these inputs and so on. These are the hidden layer neurons we call. These are input layer neurons, okay, having features where we feed in features. These are hidden layer neurons, these are output layer neurons. Hidden layer to output layer, all neurons are again fed here. Okay, so this is fully connected neural network, it is called. Fully connected in the sense that from previous layer to current layer there are full connections. Okay, fully connected neural network. Okay, so you can see that. And now here, if I give some input here for class 1 sample, okay, I got some output Z1 to Zc. But target value, see this is class 1, so 1 should be here, all should be zeros. Assume that. Okay, it is a digit classification problem, assume that. Okay, so I have put 0 as the digit. For 0, I have extracted some features. Okay, and put here. And then it should tell that 0 means it should be 1, all should be 0. Okay, and if it is fifth 5, digit 5, where should be 1? 1 should be at 6th neuron. Okay, 6th output neuron. Remaining all should be zeros. Okay, that is called one hot encoding. Okay, so essentially whichever output is the input, okay, label, that has to be 1, remaining all should be zeros. Okay, like that. So if I want to have like that, okay, then what should I do? I should, but at the beginning I initialize randomly all these weights. All these are connections will have some weights. All these are initialized randomly at the beginning. Now if I give random weights, do you think that I will get, if I give 6 here, will I be getting 6th, like 7th neuron output as 1? I may not be. It may be very low. Okay, similarly if I give 9 here, okay, 10th output neuron should give 1, remaining all should give zeros. Instead I may get 1 here and all other zeros. Okay, for initial random initialization. So then what is the problem of learning in neural networks? I want to adjust these weights such that, okay, I use, okay, corresponding output only gets 5. Okay, that means for 0, only 0th neuron will be 1, or first neuron will give output as 1, remaining all zeros, like that. Okay, so how I need to adjust all these weights now, but I have error only here. Okay, Ti minus Zi, okay, summation over Ti minus Zi whole square. Okay, this is the error, right? And this error, Z is now function of this net value here, and it is function of the values here, okay, and this is function of all these weights here and so on, right? Because this output depends upon all these weights, okay, inputs and so on. Okay, so I have to adjust these weights such that the error is, okay, minimized. Again, the principle is gradient descent only. I find rho Z by rho W, which is written here, and then use gradient descent. Similarly, I adjust all these weights. That is essentially learning of a neural network. If you want to understand neural network well, okay, so this is just a hint or a pointer, okay, you probably need to go through little bit more details on understanding, writing the input to output relationships, okay, understanding what gradient descent is, applying it, okay, through chain rule usually from output to the adjusting the weights and so on. Okay, fine. But what is the limitation of this neural network? Okay, see, what is this neural network doing? Any 2D data, it is putting in scanline after scanline and putting in one dimension. Okay, and then trying to learn something. See, if this A is now slightly adjusted or shifted, what will happen? Previously, it has learned A starting from this row. Now, A is here, which is from 10th row, assume that. Okay, it has gone. The pattern, whichever it has learned is A, now no longer, okay, has the same one-dimensional, okay, pattern, right? So if I rotate it slightly, then what is happening? This way and this way when I do vector, okay, row by row, if I scan and put, okay, it's like a two-dimensional thing. Okay, no, wherever zeros are, now there will be values. Wherever values are, there will be zeros now, right? If I move this are across this surface. Okay, so it is not very convenient to preserve the spatial data, or it doesn't use the spatial data at all in learning. So it's not the method. What we need is such method which can directly learn the information from its original dimension of the data. Okay, fine. And similar is the case. If this half A is given, it can't see and tell. Okay, some rows are there, some rows are not there. It is very difficult to understand or make